Hello artists, we're going to continue with this drawing and finish it up. So we're going to go over to the narrow part of the stair and we're going to add a doorway. Now over on the left side we're going to put a rectangle shape and it's going to be a little bit above the stair. And I'm going to put a upside down L shape in the inside, top, and right side edge of the door frame. And then I'm just adding a little awning for up above the door. Now let's start drawing the secondary doorway that's a bit bigger. And we're going to put two parallel lines vertically, and then we're going to attach them with an archway over the top. And then I'm just doing a semicircle for inside and then a straight line on the right side. So the reason why we're doing that is we are creating the illusion that the doorway has depth and that it is going into the wall. And I'm adding another awning above this door. Make sure too that you pause the video in between each step because this video is sped up 2 times faster. Now for the right side, I'm adding a severe diagonal line on the right side because this building is jutting out. So we have to make sure that the bottom of the windows are at a diagonal so that way it really looks like it's sitting on the building. And I'm adding a little ledge that's popping out above the windows because we are down below, so we would be seeing up above on the underneath of an awning. Now for this little window, again, the top line and the bottom line have to be at a diagonal. So the left side is going to be tilted down and then the right side is going to be tilted up. I'm just adding a little clothesline and there's a little bit of fabric draped over so you can erase part of the window so that way the fabric looks solid. Just a little bit more detail on the awning, just fixing some little aspects and just making some areas a little darker. Just adding some squiggle lines so that way it has kind of that corrugated tin look to it. Now on the back sides of every stair, so where your toe would hit the back of the stair, that is going to be shaded in. So I'm just very lightly using the side of my pencil to fill in those sections. And you're going to see it's going to become more apparent each section of the stair. So the top of the stair is going to be bright white, so the white of the paper, and then the back of the stair is going to be medium value. Now I just added a little bit of shadow on the left side on top of the stairs. Now when you're doing that though, you just got to be careful is that you're not doing it all the same value. You want to make sure that you can still see that the top of the stair is a little bit brighter than the back side of the stair, even in the shadow sections. So anywhere you see a little darkness, use the side of your pencil and lightly do some hatching and even some cross hatching. So on the front of the building, it's fairly dark on the main front facade of this building with the 2 doorways. So I'm just lightly going in and adding some value, and then you're slowly going to build up your values. So the pressure is light, but you're just going over the top of it more times. So I'm noticing below the fabric there is a distinct shadow shape. And there's also some awnings up there and some little windows. Now you're going to notice that compared to the photo, this drawing does look a little different. Now that is normal. So when you're looking at a photograph, you have to wrap your brain around that what you're drawing is not going to look exactly like the photo. Now it's not until you're way advanced in your years and you have done lots of drawing and training that your drawing will look exactly like the photo, and that's called photorealism. For right now, for everyone's skill level, we are just looking at that photo and we are trying our best to draw what we see. Now, this photo would actually have some perspective, so you would have vanishing dots and all that kind of complex stuff. So we're not getting into that. There's a whole other aspect of drawing and learning, and that's just observing what's in front of you and looking at the simple shapes, looking at the negative space in between those shapes. That is another way of learning, and that is very important when you're starting off on how to draw, is getting your eyes acute to all different shapes, light, shadow. That's more important right now than making it identical to the photograph. So I've just been adding some shading on the building, and I'm just adding another little awning on the right side. Now I have these little hinges that are below this awning over on the right side. It's almost a little balcony. There's kind of this lumpiness to the area on the left side that the stairs are kind of cut into. So I'm just doing some hatching, some cross hatching in those areas where there's a little bit of shadow. Now on the side of the building, I am putting a little bit more value. So remember, that's just gray tone, so that's graphite. And I am going to smudge a little bit with my finger, but we want to make sure you don't do that everywhere. Otherwise you're just going to have a smudgy mess and you're going to lose your building and all the shapes real quickly. So I'm just strengthening my shadow underneath the fabric on the top left corner. I'm also looking at the shape of that shadow. And underneath, right underneath that fabric, it is very dark. So make sure you look at those different values from where the fabric line is to the side of the building. There's a lot of shifts in values happening. So there we have the fabric, which is light, and then right below it is a super dark value. Then it starts to get a little lighter, and then there's another sharp value where the shadow ends and then it meets up to the building. Now you're going to notice as you're adding more value in the shadow areas, you're going to start losing, say, your windows or your awning. So you're going to have to either erase out and brighten up those areas, or you're going to have to go back around them, outlining them and making them darker. So on the inside of the doorways, I'm just kind of cleaning that up, making it really dark, sharp, dark line on the right side. And as you're drawing, if you're like me, I tend to drag my hand when I draw. I have my whole hand down on my piece of paper. So if you draw like that, you're going to notice you're going to be smudging quite a bit. I do recommend, if you have an extra piece of paper, put it underneath your hand so that way you're not smudging so much. That is a good habit to have. And just adding some darkness below that roof line on that little section on the top right. So I'm just going in and filling in the windows on the right side a little bit more and just darkening them up. Now on these windows on the right side, I am just going to go in and fill them in and make them a little bit darker. There's a little bit of some detail, some lattice work at the top of the window, so I am going to put some of that in. You do not have to do this part if you do not wish to. So underneath this ledge is almost like a little patio area. So that is pretty dark because it's the underneath part, so that would be in the shadow. And I just added a little scallop edge along the left side edge. Again, so it has that appearance of kind of this tile roof. And I'm just adding more detail inside of this doorway. If you want to have like a little window on the top part. Just remember, that area would be very dark inside of the doorway. You can see instantly adding that darkness, it just pushes that area back. And so you're creating an illusion of perspective with just your values. So remember, values are grays. And I'm just using my eraser to brighten up the right side building because that building is very bright and the sun is hitting the front side of that building. So that should be very, very bright. And then the building that is straight in front of us that we've been working the most time on, that's going to be a little bit more in the shadow and that's going to be a bit darker. Okay, you guys, we are finished up with this project. So you can see my finished drawing here, lots of contrast. Isn't this such a nice scene? I love this drawing. Nice work, you guys. Nice work, artist. Now that you have finished your warm-up / main project, now you're going to go ahead to the next video with me and we're going to start drawing some Zalige tiles.